Mr. Regan, your testimony notes that too often the discussion around public transit focus exclusively on costs and revenues. This is a reductive approach that fails to recognize transit's role as a public service. These same discussions often fail to mention the far larger subsidies given to highway projects. What is the role of transit as a public service, and why it does not make sense to evaluate transit or other forms of transportation by how much the revenue they generate?
Thank you for the question. And when I think of public transportation, I think that the word public is so critical there. I think about the other areas where we use that word when we describe a service, whether it be public libraries, public parks, public schools, public roads, as you noted. All of that, when we say public, it means building the community. It means making sure that we are tying the community together and providing resources for the citizens of that community. And public transit is an economic lifeblood of cities large and small all around this country. And we should not be looking at it in terms of dollars and cents. We should be looking at it at the value add it brings to communities all throughout our country.
Ms. Maynard, your testimony highlights how safe it is to travel by public transportation. In fact, traveling by public transportation is 10 times safer than traveling by car. Even though transit agencies are already very safe, what actions are the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada and other American Public Transportation Association members taking to further ensure a safe travel experience?
Thank you for that question. And again, as I previously mentioned, it really is a partnership. The public transit agencies need to ensure that they are working closely with the communities in which they serve for those social services, that connection, law enforcement, the security and transit agencies themselves that have their own security firms. And I think it's important too that certainly in Southern Nevada, we have one of the deadliest pedestrian vehicle death rates in the United States. Public transit is safer, and it's ensuring that we are providing services that can help reduce some of the congestion. As an example, now that we are not only the entertainment capital of the world, but also now the sports capital of the world, we provide something called Game Day Express, and we are allowing folks that would normally drive into the Allegiant Stadium off of Las Vegas Boulevard. By doing that, we're keeping about 2,000 cars off the Strip and that area. That certainly, that less congestion improves safety. So it's really a multi-pronged approach in terms of ensuring that roads are safe by having folks travel on public transit, but also looking at ways to ensure that the traveling public and the operators and the employees are safe.
Another question for you, Ms. Maynard. Your testimony also addresses ongoing efforts across the United States by public transit agencies to regain riders after the pandemic. In the District of Columbia, which I represent, the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority is undergoing a bus network redesign to update its legacy bus routes and better serve the current needs of riders. Why is it important for transit agencies to conduct community outreach and modernize service levels and routes to attract and retain riders?
We are in the people business. We are people connecting people and providing places where they need to go. It's very important that we understand those travel patterns. I think your CEO, Randy Clark, has done a tremendous job here in Washington, understanding that the commute travel patterns have changed, and it's about reallocating those resources. And so if you previously, pre-pandemic, had a heavy commute pattern, less trips on the weekend, that's how your teams will schedule those transit trips. When you see those travel patterns changing, you adjust accordingly, and it's something they've done here very well in Washington, and other transit systems are doing the exact same thing as it relates to particularly the commuter rail pattern or commuter passenger travel.
Thank you very much, Ms. Maynard, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Mr. LaMalfa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Scribner,